welcome everybody to 561 Music. My name is Ben.
And I'm Hector.
And this is our first official episode, so it's very exciting for us both.
How do you feel about that?
I'm all right with it, I'm not going to lie, I'm a little nervous, but I'm okay. Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to it because we have a great guest. We have Sierra Lane on today, and she's going to speak to us, and then she's going to play a couple of songs, so it's fantastic.
Yeah.
So, how are you feeling about it all?
Not too bad. I mean, we've been talking about it for a little bit, and for a quick minute, and I feel like it's finally here, which is a good thing. But a little exhausted from last week from all the shows and stuff, and St. Patrick's and everything. So
sure,
just kind of still recouping from all that.
Yeah, we had a fantastic week.
It's a crazy week.
I mean, the fact that we live in Florida and are able to play gigs is just a lifeline. It's just so fantastic.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'm incredibly glad that that we're doing this because I think people underestimate how good the music is around here, and it's nice to, set up a forum where we can speak to some of the people who make music around here and also hear them play, and speak to them, about things that you wouldn't necessarily know if you just went to watch them play. And also shine a light on just how much good music there is around here.
Well, case in point, I mean, we just started putting together. You started putting together for the podcast a Spotify playlist of local musicians that you shared with me today. That you're just barely scratching the surface on so far, and you shared with me. And I've been driving around today, running my errands, listening to it in the car. Some of them I knew, like Sierra, I've heard stuff and I've been to shows. But some of it were bands that I had either just heard of but never actually listened to the music, or had never heard of. And there's a lot of fantastic music coming out of this area. Absolutely.
I think there's a lot of reasons for that. I think it's because there's venues that we can play at.
Sure.
And in a lot of places, especially in England where I'm from, there's just not the volume of. It's very difficult to make a living as a musician. It's not even really, unless you're, in a wedding band or something. It really isn't even kind of considered a profession. So here, you can do, and ever since I've been here, I've been playing music. And I've met so many great musicians and so many interesting club owners, and the scene's alive and kicking. And so I'm just glad we have an opportunity to show everybody that.
Yeah, man. I'm excited. I'm excited to be doing this. I'm excited to be doing it here, with you and here at Live Music Community. I mean, this place is amazing. So as well, So
All right, and so without further ado, I'll introduce our guest, Sierra Lane.
Hey guys.
How are you?
Hi, Sierra.
Welcome.
So Sierra and I we've known each other for.
We go way back.
Way back, right? Way back.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Because I teach for a living, and the group sessions we used to do, Sierra was in the group that I used to teach. So
7th through beginning of 9th grade.
Yeah, that's it. And it's just such a wonderful thing to see, someone who had a small part in teaching in the early years go full circle to being someone who I'm now interviewing. It's just, it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, no, I feel the same because I remember it was like the band Sand and Bruce thing, and I saw you and Zach there, and it was kind of like a weird, oh, that's cool, we're playing on the same stage, but, Zach was my guitar teacher, you were my group leader,
yeah.
So, yeah, definitely a surreal moment to, be hanging out with y'all rather than,
Right, yeah, and it takes a little bit of getting used to it. It definitely, it's some interesting feelings for me in those situations, because it's sort of a mixture of kind of pride and and oh wow, look how well Sierra's doing, and also oh no,
I'm getting all.
We're getting kicked off the block here. Yeah.
Am I that intimidating?
The next group is coming.
I've been told I'm intimidating because I have resting bitch face all the time. So they're just are you okay? Or do you hate me? Or you're kind of intimidating.
I've never found you intimidating, but there's a certain intimidating feeling as you get older and you see the new guard coming up, like you want to be able to hold onto your seat a little bit, but that's just paranoia, you know.
Yeah,
There's plenty
it
of
comes
room
with
for all.
anything, really.
So when you were
Yeah.
teaching her back in the group, you said like Zach was teaching you guitar. Was it pretty much just guitar, or were you doing other stuff back then? Or
So I did guitar with Zach for probably like 2 years. I ended up having another teacher, didn't really fit, so I chose vocal lessons, and that went on for maybe a month, and then realized I was at a point where, you know, I wasn't in the headspace to learn music theory, and it just was going in one ear out the other. So I decided, like, I'm just gonna, you know, take some time and do it on my own and kind of learn by ear like I had
Sure.
been before I started lessons, because I taught myself initially how to play and then
Yeah.
went from lessons from there, and then kind of just didn't even think about taking it completely seriously like I am now. It was kind of like all just happened so fast. but,
Fantastic.
that's awesome.
yeah.
So let's jump in at the beginning of these. I have a few questions that I kind of want to ask everybody, and the first one is, why did you start? Why did you start playing? What was it that made you want to start playing music?
You know, I didn't really find a connection with anything else, and, you know, I definitely knew I couldn't dance, was really bad at sports, you know, nothing really, you know, sparked interest in me or knew I was good at it. And then one day, I think I was into this boy band, 5 Seconds of Summer, and then they were like, oh yeah, we like Green Day and all this, and so I listened to Green Day for the first time, like, yo, I want to play like
cool.
them. So yeah, like, people are shocked to believe that punk and metal were like the first things that got me into playing guitar. Like, I learned how to play a Black Veil Bride song before I even learned an A chord.
Wow.
So like I was like completely into it. And then yeah, and so when I tell people now, like, oh, what got you into music? I'm like, metal got me into music. They're like, no way.
Which is
And I'm
so
like,
far
I
removed
will
from
show
your
you
style.
how far parted my hair was to the side. Like, I have proof.
That's
awesome.
But yeah.
You know, I can relate to a lot of that. I personally, you know, found a lot of solace in music. I wasn't really any good at sport, and not more than not being good at it, just didn't really have any interest in it, you know. And I think quite not everyone, but quite a lot of musicians share that, is in that it was like a kind of happy place, like, you know, the people surrounding music and the bands and sitting and practicing and being into music it's a whole kind of world that you can kind of enter into, and it's something that you can have for yourself. And especially when you find that you're good at it, you know, then that's another kind of incentive to keep at it. I can totally relate
It
to
was
that.
almost like a safe haven for me. I mean, like, you know, I wasn't super popular or anything in school, in any grade really. So, and same things, you know, sports and all that stuff were just something I wasn't into. And then music was like something I was doing away from school. And so it kind of just removed me from that whole situation. And I was a totally different person, way more confident, just a different person,
Yeah.
you know? So yeah, no, I right there with you with that.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I think, identity, you know, especially
Sure.
when you're growing up in your teenage years. So we kind of touched on this, but who would you say that your biggest influences are musically?
It's pretty tough because I've gone through so many different phases. I listen to all music, so
Sure.
I'd say right now it's probably one of my biggest inspirations, you know, and what I've been writing recently is Wolf Alice.
Right.
They're an incredible band. I had no idea about them, and my friend showed me one of their songs, and I became like, you know, one of those people that watches every single video of them,
Yeah.
listens to every song, and they're more of like an alternative rock vibe, and I think that I'm interested in incorporating all genres into, you know,
Sure.
reggae, because the doors in reggae music has opened for me.
Yeah.
And but I still love indie music, I love alternative, and I love all of that, so I've been kind of working towards combining all of them together, making kind of like a blend that's unique to me and stuff like that. So
Sure.
you know,
Yeah.
I find inspiration from everybody, but yeah.
That's great. I mean, you're speaking to a guy who's one of the albums he made was called The Rough Guide to Genre Terrorism, so I can totally relate to
Yeah.
where you're coming from with that. And, you know, us mixing reggae and punk was, you know, when I was
Oh,
your
yeah,
age, I was
with,
doing exactly the same thing with Sonic Boom 6.
Yeah.
And I know that you've mentioned in the past that you enjoy the music of the Skints.
Yes,
is that right?
I
Yeah.
love the Skins.
Yeah, that makes me really happy because they were like, running buddies. We did a lot of gigs together back in the day, and it just makes me happy that you're into all of that kind of thing because it's where I come from as a musician. That's absolutely
Yeah.
what.
Rocky was the one that showed me Sonic Boom 6, and I was like,
Right.
no way, this is Ben? Like, that's
Yeah.
so cool.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. But I can really hear the influence of the Skints in your music.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
listening to Deep Dive and I can, there's a lot going on there. And as you were saying with the wanting to mix genres and stuff, I think it does it very tastefully in that song because you don't get overboard with it. It's two things. It's this kind of doo-woppy sort of soul-y kind of feel, and then drops into the reggae, and I think it works really well. It's fantastic. So I can totally, what you're saying about wanting to mix genres into it is absolutely evident in that single. And in case anyone hasn't heard Sierra's music, her single Deep Dive is on, anywhere you can get music. If you look it up on Spotify, it's right there, and it's.
Yeah, it's on MySpace, Facebook Marketplace. No, I'm completely kidding. I got jokes.
Yeah, I know. You had me worried for a second. I thought, oh wow, is MySpace a thing again?
Yeah, no. That's like when I'm telling people at gigs, like, oh, this is our song Deep Dive. You can find it on all streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, MySpace, Vine. Like, I just as a joke.
That's great.
Makes people pay attention a little bit.
Absolutely.
You gotta wonder how many people pull out their phones though. They're like,
I know.
Is MySpace a thing again?
Someone came up to me after a gig one time, and they're like, wait, it's on Facebook Marketplace. I'm like, yeah, you can buy it for $400. Completely kidding.
That's fantastic.
Well, how I mean, since you brought up Deep Dive, how I know you released that last year. So of course, last year was, to put it mildly, a shit show for most people.
Yeah.
How was that for you to release it during that? I mean, was that a time for you of when everybody was locked down and everybody was just, was that a time for you to go, hey, I got time to be creative, or was it just, chaos for you?
Yeah, so Deep Dive had been written for about 2 years at that point, and my band and I were just, we would play it live every gig, so we had honed in the sound already. I even got some inspiration, me and Spread the Dub jammed on it one night randomly. They're like, oh, do you have any originals? And I was like, why don't we try this one? And they nailed it perfectly, even with the transitions. And I was like,
Wow.
oh, okay. And then Hunter did some guitar parts, and I was like, hey, Derek, can you play this while recording it? So it was kind of like a combination of multiple things. I don't even really remember writing it, though. It kind of just happened. Sometimes I'll write, it'll take me months to finish a song, but sometimes it'll take me 30 minutes,
Sure.
beginning to end. And that's just kind of how creativity flows sometimes. But yeah, with the whole COVID thing, I was actually planning on releasing it on my own. Just randomly, I'm like, you know what? And it was kind of a little bit before COVID, and because you need time to, promote it and stuff. But then, something was telling me to reach out to Ineffable because they had reached out before and we lost touch. And something was just telling me in my gut, you should ask them one more time if they're interested in the song. And so I did, and we talked and, made the deal, and they released Deep Dive for me. So even though, it was COVID and stuff like that, it kind of did well for the time being, just because I had the boost from the label, which was nice, and I'm very, very grateful for that.
What did you find that what did the label do for you? What that you couldn't do for yourself?
I think it was just promotion aspects, and because they were a bigger reggae label and they've already have eyes on them from Stick Figure and Collie Buds, they kind of have some leverage on their own. So the fact that I was on their radar in general, and then my song was under their name as well, it kind of just naturally gave it a little boost.
Right, it helps the whole thing, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You become a lot more visible, for sure.
Yeah, and plus I didn't know what I was doing at all in anyways, so it was kind of good that they kind of took over a little bit with that, because I feel like there could have been a lot more I would have done. If I had done it alone, I would have missed some things, promotion-wise. So
I was gonna
say, from a technical standpoint, did they help with any producing or recording or anything like that, or you already had it in the can at that point?
So I sent them what I wanted to be released, and I had already had it mixed and mastered. And then, we were a couple weeks away from releasing it, and they're like, "Hey, we're gonna have one of our producers mix master." I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah.
The first one I got back was a little rough, kind of overdid it with the dubbing and added some whooshes, and I was like, kind of takes away from it a little bit. But it was also, he lives in California, so, you know, we were strictly texting. So that it makes communication in general. But we got it to how I wanted it to sound, and it was like a team effort on that part. Nice. But yeah.
Yeah, I turned it up in the car a few times, and you know, it's lovely because it's kind of a relaxing, nice song, but it still has a bump to it as well. You know, it's got the bass and drums are solid on it, and you know, I really like it actually.
Yeah, no, I definitely wanted it to have a gradual like incline, just because it, you know, not many people release a 4-minute song as their first single. That's more of an album thing. So sure. I wanted to make sure that it was something that was intriguing throughout the whole thing, so that it didn't bore people, because, you know, not a lot of people, you know, save 4-minute songs to their playlist because it's so long and they want to get, you know, if they're in the car or something. So you got to make it interesting through the whole thing, or else.
No, it has a nice build. I mean, it definitely has a nice build.
Yeah, I've noticed, you know, within music since I've been doing it, that songs have just been consistently just becoming shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter. And when we were
becoming very formula based.
Yeah, when we were considering with Sonic Boom 6, when we were considering singles, the idea was you wanted it to be 3.5 minutes. That was like, you know, and that was down from wherever it was prior to that, you know, 4 minutes or so. And so, you know, now 3.5 minutes is a really long song. You know what I mean? It's really like 2.5 minutes now. You know, that is an ideal single length. It's gone right down.
And I saw a playlist, and it was just a bunch of songs that should be longer, and they're all like 1 minute long. And they're super good and vibey, and you want to sit there and jam with it, and then it ends it, and it's like, oh, dang it.
I think, but yeah, people have very short attention spans, and it's because, you know, there's just so much media out there that if you're fighting to get, you know, no one's sitting there listening to one thing for ages. They're just going, oh, looking at that and looking at that.
Yeah, exactly. And even with playlisting for your songs, that's another thing Ineffable helped out with, was playlisting. And
great.
But with that, like, those people only listen to the first 30 seconds of your song. So if you don't pack a punch within the first 30 seconds, you're not going to get on the playlist, you know. So that's another thing that goes with making shorter songs, because then if you get to the chorus faster, then you have a better chance of making it on those playlists, and like you said, attention spans.
You got a catchy hook faster and stuff.
Yeah.
Like always, the Black Eyed Peas, I think even they say it, they just link together choruses. It's just one chorus after another. You know? It's like they don't even bother with verses.
Yeah.
So do you have I mean, I know that how I would answer this question, but it's different for everyone. Do you have a writing process?
Not entirely. It's pretty much the same like in my brain, but as far as like getting to sit down and do it, it's a little different every time, you know. Like I said, you know, I could like write a verse and a chorus in 10 minutes, and then it'll take months for me to get the rest. Or I've knocked out a song in 15 minutes before, just saying exactly what I was like. It wrote down the first thing that came out of my mouth for the first whole song, you know.
Yeah.
So I typically start with, you know, guitar, and then just kind of freestyle until something fits. Or my something that I'm a little guilty about, a little embarrassed, is like I'll go on Pinterest and I'll look up Tumblr quotes. And I'll use that to fill in blanks that I can't fit. Sometimes they'll be like deep enough and metaphorical enough that they work.
I'm stealing that. That's great. That's fantastic.
That's actually genius.
Yeah. Totally. I definitely use Rhyme Zone a lot.
I look up what word rhymes with this, and then I'll be like random words that you've never heard of before. And what?
Absolutely. If you ever hear a weird word in one of my songs, it's usually something that came up on Rhyme Zone. But yeah, like one of the things that I wonder if you can relate to this, one of the things that I find when I'm writing is that I will write something very quickly, but it will be the result of having formulated the thought for a very long time.
Yeah.
So like, you know, for 9 months or so, I'll be ruminating on a subject of some kind. And then all of a sudden my sort of understanding of the subject and the way I want to present it just click, and then it just all comes together, and I find it just comes out very quickly. Does that happen to you? Is that something?
Yeah, so like with songs that I typically don't write immediately. Like I said, that's kind of the idea. I'll write down like literally a single line or like an idea or a concept, and then it'll take months. Even if I have a guitar lick that I've sit on for months, and then I'm like, oh wait, I can fit this into a song that I've already written. But as far as songs that I write pretty quickly, it'll be a subconscious thing, so I won't even realize I'm writing about something that's going on in my life then and there, and then all of a sudden I'll finish the song, and sometimes it'll even take when I'm recording the song months later, like, oh wait, I was actually going through that. That's why I wrote that. Like Deep Dive was about courage and doing what you want and what you love in life, and the he is kind of like a personification of courage. So
Okay.
yeah, but I like to leave it up for interpretation and keep it vague and stuff like that, because it could be about a guy, but it could be about courage. It could be about whatever you want it to be. Kind of
Yeah,
deal.
sure. In the times I listened to it, I definitely got different sort of takes out of it each time, and it's interesting to see, to hear what you intended, and that makes total sense. And actually, there's an art form to ambiguity, and I think you're good at it, but you don't want to write something that's just wishy-washy and vague. You want to write something that could have multiple meanings, which is what you've done.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like if the song has no message to it at all, and like you're strictly like, hey, make whatever you want out of this, like it's kind of like hard for people to connect to it. But if you have like an idea that can be translated, then people can connect to it the way that it sounds, or they can connect to it to a way that it needs to them. So
For sure.
it's personalized for everybody and under any circumstances.
Yeah, so this is a question that I have been wanting to ask everyone, and be as truthful as you can. How much and what and how do you practice?
No, it's kind of because I play so many gigs. More so it was on the weekends. Like I have so much time during the week to practice now, but I'm so in the mode of I have a gig tonight that I don't want to practice. Like that even the weekdays it's hard for me to pick up my guitar. But I've been forcing myself to pick up my guitar and go sit on my porch with my notebook and just, even if I'm playing a song I've played thousands of times, like it's still good to get some sort of creativity out of you, because you have to get those bad ideas out before you get the good ideas out and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Should definitely practice more than I do. That's a I feel like everyone has those moments. But at the same time, gigging on the weekends so much, it's kind of like, not in a terrible way, not in a bad way, like it kind of burns you out a little bit, because like, I've been playing guitar for hours,
Absolutely, but I've done this for many years and can 100% relate. I mean, and also with these 3-hour gigs, you can really, you get a lot of time to experiment within the
exactly,
sets,
yeah.
So in some ways, it's practice in itself. There's obviously is no substitute for practice, but I learned a lot of things that I can do on guitar on stage.
Exactly, yeah. No, and I don't know if you remember any of my guitar playing back in middle school, but I didn't even know how to solo.
Sure.
So like what I did solo on stage, like at the shows, I would practice at home, and it'll sound good to get on stage. Can't even remember what I did, but I don't know too much theory, but what I do know about it, I kind of learned on my own from playing on stage, like looking at my other guitarist. It's like, oh, I know this scale, or I know this lick. Wait, those kind of can fit into each other, and then I just transpose in my mind and be like, oh, if I'm in this key, then I should be on this fret, and then it'll flow into this and whatever. So it's kind of, that's why I'm glad I play these gigs, and I'm grateful that I'm booked a lot, because even though I don't have a ton of time at home on the weekends to practice, and I'm tired, I kind of want to use that time to rest. It still gives me time to practice, especially my duo gigs, because Corey and I can just. We feed off of each other super well. I do with all my guys, but at duo gigs, it's kind of like he doesn't have to focus on any of the notes that I'm playing, so like he has free range to do whatever he wants on them, and then he brings that to the gigs, and he plays this differently now, and brings a whole new level to it. So
for sure, it's really interesting. The I can absolutely relate to largely sort of learning and figuring out things by ear.
Yeah.
And also just gradually the dots connecting, just through the hours and hours of playing music with other people. That's honestly how I learned to play as well. Exactly the same way.
Yeah, and like before before the music scene, like I didn't really have any influences to go off of besides, you know, the musicians I listened to that were, you know, big famous people, and I couldn't really learn off of them because I was only hearing, you know, what they've recorded. But finding the music scene was definitely good for me because I've learned so much from just watching people play at open mics. You know, I used to not be able to sing runs at all until I met my best friend Allegra, and she was this pop R&B style, and I was kind of like just getting out of my emo phase. So like,
Yeah.
you know, I until I met her, I would watch her sing runs up and down scales and whatever, and then I would take that home and practice it myself. So,
Right, yeah.
you know, it's literally like like surrounding yourself with like great musicians
I say
and
that all
being
the
friends
time.
with them is like the
I
best
say-
thing for your
I say-
learning capabilities.
I say that all the time. I mean, playing with Ben and James and Killbillies. I mean, for me, anyways, like I always feel like they're such good musicians that it just forces me to be a better musician.
Yeah,
you know. So
exactly.
yeah, no, I am 100% right there with you.
Yeah, I don't think I have any friends that aren't musicians. It's just I'm completely obsessed with it and communicate best through it and with
Exactly.
it, you know, and you know, everything that I can play at some point or other I've learned off another musician, you know. It's it's absolutely my happy place. So what are your future goals and plans?
As far as near future, trying to release some more music by this summer. So don't even know which song gonna be releasing yet though, but we're working on just demoing out every single song that we have right now.
Right.
Just so that when it comes time to finish them, it'll be quicker and easy because we already demoed them out. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now.
You gonna have label backing for that as well? or-
Hopefully,
Yeah.
you know, my managers had reached out with another song that I recorded with Cashed Out, because they're very reputable in the reggae community, and it's,
Okay.
you know, they're great musicians. Their worth ethic is like off the charts good. So like, you know,
Fantastic.
but I recorded with them, sent the song to Ineffable, just trying to follow up with as much music as I can because
Right.
I know they're super busy because with COVID, everyone's recording right now.
Sure.
No one's touring. So I like to think of it as a clock. So you're one of the numbers on the clock and they're the hand and you just have to wait
Wait
for
your
them
turn.
to get, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so trying to release by summer. I definitely want to tour. And now that my managers are in the picture, they're kind of working on that for me, and it's super exciting to see the way things work business wise with music. So I'm just my biggest goal right now is just learning more about that and learning more about what I need to do to, you know, send my brand as Sierra Lane into a
Right.
better position.
Right. You're gonna be doing, or you are doing, a collab with Joey Calderaro.
Yes.
Is it?
Yeah, Joey
Uh,
Calderado.
Caldera-
What?
Calderao.
Calderayo. Yes.
Calderao. I believe April 2nd is
Yes.
your target.
So the song's called Paradise. I'm just singing some backup. It's about a girl, so he's like best thing to do is have a girl on the song. Makes
Okay.
sense. So
Okay.
that's kind of where we were going with it. Trying to get a nice acoustic video component with that. So that's another thing that you guys can look out for.
Yeah, awesome.
I've noticed that recently that Florida is really starting to get its own reggae sound. It's like a lot of you guys are there's a lot of back and forth, and you know, in terms of just the vibe of it, and that reggae rock scene is becoming, you know, quite subtly distinct. You know, I can really hear when it's a Florida reggae rock band, and you know, it's great to see this scene that's always kind of been here, you know, all the way back to, you know, Bryce's projects and things like that, and
Yeah.
before. But it's just great to see it continue to grow, and you guys, you know, coming up, still doing it. I moved personally away from that musically, but in no way stopped enjoying it. So you know, it's great
Yeah.
to see it all doing so well. So yeah, the last question that I've got down here, which is the ones I wanted to ask everyone who comes on here, is how do you find the local scene, and who in the local scene do you particularly enjoy?
Yeah, so I first discovered it, you know, where like Elizabeth Ave is downtown by Grandview. So when they had open mics and they were open, Don't really know how I heard about it. I think it was Jacob Tacos, actually,
Okay.
because he was my mentor. Like, my mom reached out to him and was like, hey, can you give Sierra some guitar lessons?
Oh,
Guitar
interesting.
lessons turned into, hey, let's build your media presence and find a stage name and stuff like that. And so he kind of got me my
Wow.
first couple gigs and let me do some duo gigs with him. And
Yeah,
he told me
cool.
about some open mics, and was just then getting into photography. I don't know if you've seen his photography now,
Absolutely,
but
yeah.
he's like, because I was one of his, test dummies for some of his first photography. He had been doing it for a while, but I've seen him grow so much. But he's kind of the reason I found the scene. And then
Cool.
open mics, the E.R. Bradley Soul Fam open mic was definitely a huge one.
Sure.
It's now at Hullabaloo. But yeah, so open mic's definitely a big component to that, and that's where I met all of my friends in the scene.
Yeah.
So obviously, Allegra Miles, Jam and the Sweets.
Yeah.
One of the local bands, they're more Fort Lauderdale, but still consider them local. But there's Tasty Vibrations.
Yeah.
I've been going to a lot of their shows. We're super close now. Some of my
Cool.
best friends.
Fantastic.
But yeah, I'm just open to everybody in the scene, really.
Nice.
It's just interesting to see how many different genres you can pack into one open mic too.
Yeah.
It's super cool.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's nothing but positive vibes, and it's one big family, and very rarely do you see any hate or shit talk about other people. It's just really a really close knit community.
Yeah, I think we do great down here, and you're just confirming what I think is that there's a lot going on down here, and it doesn't. I don't think people even realise how much music there is down here, and how nice of a scene it is, and most of us know each other and are very cordial with each other. There's very little kind of negative competition.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and people you haven't met, you already follow on Instagram and
Yeah,
stuff like
exactly.
that. So you basically do know everybody, and
Yeah.
and I didn't even know there was a music scene until I found it, because it's like I said, they are a close-knit community, but you don't even notice it until you're
Right.
in it. And
Yeah.
even if you're a stranger at an open mic and you don't even play music, you're like, oh, this is really cool. I had no idea this was a thing, So
It's funny you say that, actually, because I feel like maybe I'm blinded by the fact that it's literally all I do, so I think that everyone else knows about
Right.
it. but
Yeah.
I guess
Well,
not.
your music 24/7.
Yeah. That's cool, though. All right, so if there was a venue round here that you could say you like playing the most, what would you say that was?
I think Johnny Brown's is a great venue to play.
Yeah.
Most of it's like a little bit of an older crowd, but you have so much foot traffic there, and you make really good tips, and the crowd, everyone's into it.
That's right on Atlantic.
Right on Atlantic,
Delray,
yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, so it doesn't even matter what you're playing. Everyone's digging it and into it, and
Sure.
that's my reason for playing, is connecting to people, and that's a great place to connect to people, because there's so many people there. There's people stopping and standing on the streets watching you play, and
Yeah.
Guanabanas is another good one too, because
Sure.
it's like a staple place in Jupiter, and I've lived here my whole life and always have known Guanabanas. It's such a constant thing for me. So
For sure, yeah. Yeah, Guanabara is great, and especially for that kind of Florida reggae rock sound. It's like it's one of in Jupiter. It's absolutely the place for that.
Yeah.
Are there any venues that you haven't played that you would like to, or wish you could, or wish you would?
Not necessarily. I kind of dig all the consistent spots
Sure.
I've had. I've played a lot of different places, whether they're super tiny or, Crazy Uncle Mike's with the big stage and
Yeah.
stuff. But,
Yeah.
I'm definitely interested in getting to more around Florida rather than just,
Yeah.
the small strip of the East
Of course.
Coast.
Yeah,
Of course,
yeah.
Up until Boca and Fort Lauderdale. But,
I know.
that's like my next goal, is to try, and I'm playing Nature Coast Fest in April, so that'll be
Cool.
another thing. I've played in Outer Banks. I've played New Smyrna. So those are like the farthest places I've performed. So I'm really
Cool.
interested in traveling with that.
Once things kind of relax, is touring something that the label can help you do? Do they get involved with that?
I'd hope so. I don't think I'm interested in signing anything with
Right.
anybody yet. So, they just did releasing for me, and I think that's like a good relationship for me to have with them at the moment.
Right.
I'd love for them to help me out with that. That
Yeah.
would be good. But I think with the connections I have right now, I'm in a good spot with touring because,
Great.
my managers have connections to promoters that do touring on their own, and that's how I've gotten the slots for opening for people, even though, the Expendables got canceled. It was still an opportunity that I had that was really cool. So,
Yeah.
I think I'm in a good spot for right now. So when it does open up, but I think it'll be a good thing.
I'm envious. The period of my 20s, almost for the entire of my 20s, I was on tour, and it was some of the best times of my life. So
Yeah.
you've got all that to look forward to. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I got a little taste of that in October. And with Outer Banks, I played with the band Sensi Trails.
Yeah.
It was like a 4-day thing. We played 3 different venues in the Outer Banks, and then one venue in Virginia Beach. So it was a cool experience. That was my first time traveling by myself without seeing family to hang out with. So
Yeah.
I haven't even met these guys until then. So I was like, who am I going to stay out of state with? Like, what am I gonna? Because I was 18. I'm 19 now. So
Yeah.
it was kind of a really nerve-wracking experience.
I can imagine. Yeah.
It gave me a good taste of what it's like. Though.
Do you think that that there are different kind of concerns? Do you think that there's other things to think about when it comes to touring as a woman?
For sure. Something that someone brought up to me one time is that girls are like want to look more, like, are more concerned about how presentable they look. And I'm not saying that guys are like, I don't give a shit about what I look like, but it's kind of like it's kind of like I would be very uncomfortable if I didn't even have, like, if I wouldn't have a mirror to see if my outfit looks good enough. I'm a very image-oriented person, strictly because I want to make sure I look good for myself as well. It's a
Sure.
self-confidence thing. And I don't really care too much about what other people think of me, but I do want to make a good impression, and I don't want to smell bad, like but even a safety thing as well, because I am younger than all my bandmates, and I'm surrounded by a lot of dudes all the time, and
Yeah.
I'm very young for being in the scene at the moment, and I've had a lot of opportunities, especially for how old I am. Like, a lot of people, especially women, work for a while to get to where I am, and I'm very grateful for where I'm at. But with touring, it's like, definitely being so young, there's gonna be challenges for sure. I obviously don't know what to expect out of it, but I'm willing to find out, because that's what I want to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's been lovely talking to you. And we can continue this in a minute, but could you play us a couple of songs?
Yeah, of
again?
course.
Fantastic.
So while she's setting up, Ben, let's give a little shout out to our sponsor.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about Harmony Management.
Well, Harmony Management Group, basically, they offer you anywhere from just a few hours a week of like office help for basic stuff, basic tasks like filing or organizing, and they can offer full service stuff like bookkeeping, payroll, tax services, data entry, scheduling, invoicing. I mean, you name it, they can do it if it's a business related thing. So, their tagline is, let us put a little zen back in your life, and I think that's pretty on the money for them. All these kind of things when you're a business stress you out. So I feel like someone like Harmony Management Group can definitely step in and take a little weight off your shoulders, a little bit off your plate, and
fantastic,
and help you do your stuff. So so we appreciate Mary at Harmony Management Group sponsoring this episode.
Yeah, and we've been the very lucky beneficiaries of her many skills, and she's helped us in the past. So,
absolutely,
I can confirm that if you any dealings with Mary and Harmony Management will be fantastic.
Yeah, so if you're looking for any of that stuff, you can give Mary a call, 561-420-5652. That's 561-420-5652. Tell her that Ben and Hector sent you, and she will treat you really well, or she won't. I don't know, one of the two. It depends on how much she likes us, I guess. But we do appreciate her sponsoring the episode. So
good stuff. All right, take it away, Sierra.
This song is called Little Things. Who knows what tomorrow may bring, but I know there is truth in what I say. Said you've got to be strong in the life that you live, 'cause there's so much that nature can give to you, to you. So let's spark up a joint in the dead of the night. We'll sway in the breeze if the feeling is right tonight, tonight. You gotta make a new mood for yourself. Open up the curtains, let go of what is hurting you today, today. If you want to be lazy, then do as you please, and don't forget about me. We can do this together, be lazy forever. We can watch your favorite movie in the dark, cuddled up. The blankets and sheets are the only thing between our hearts. So let's spark up a joint in the dead of the night. We'll sway in the breeze if the feeling is right tonight, tonight. Just remember to enjoy the little things in life, 'cause they will pass you by.
That was lovely.
Beautiful.
Alright, I'll do one more. Let's see which one I want.
Yeah, fantastic.
This one's called Fortune Teller. Hey, hey. So could you tell me, when will I hit the ground? Thinking about my past and the present, presently dreaming of the future. What do my cards say, baby? My mind's been hypnotized lately. Fortune teller, what would you tell her if the stars aligned? Magic runs through her veins and through her mind. Hey, hey. Tried to chase the moon, but landed on the sun. What have I become? Lost the direction I was headed in. I need a crystal ball to show me where my life will fall. In a matter of time, we'll all be doing just fine. Fortune teller, what would you tell her if the stars aligned? Magic runs through her veins and through her mind. Fortune teller, what would you tell her if the stars aligned? Magic runs through her veins and through her mind. We can't predict the future, but we can make the stars align. Manifest your love and pray to the stars above, and we'll all be doing just fine. Fortune teller, what would you tell if the stars aligned? Hey, hey.
That was beautiful. What were the names of both those songs?
So the first one was called Little Things.
Yeah. Could you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, so it's basically like, I'm trying to think of the lyrics. I'm blanking. But it's like just appreciating the smaller things in life. And one of them I used to describe as kind of like in a love sense, like, oh, we'll watch your favorite movie. Well, if you want to be lazy, let's be lazy together. You were talking about Bruno Major earlier, and one of his songs called Nothing, I think the lyrics are, there's nothing like doing nothing with you. So it's kind of took it from that kind of thing, and
interesting.
was like, yeah, so you never know what tomorrow's going to bring is kind of the first lyric. So just appreciate the little things now and worry about the bigger things when it comes to it.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. Exactly. Being present, living in the moment, and enjoying life. It's easier said than done.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was the other song?
The second song is called Fortune Teller, and that one's just kind of almost relating to my anxiety, because I get very existential all the time, especially being creative and choosing a creative career path, because you obviously don't know like what's going to happen with that. So, the second verse is like, I need a crystal ball to show me where my life will fall. What do my cards say? Kind of just what triggered it was I saw Mac Ayres' album Magic 8 Ball, and I was like, that's a cool concept, kind of like a fortune gypsy kind of deal. And then I realized like I could relate it to not knowing what the bigger things in life are about. So
sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm afraid to tell you that never goes away, but
yeah.
at least it can be a source of creativity.
You're supposed to tell her it goes away really soon. Everything will be fine.
It out. You're doing a great job.
And I feel like, anyone who's creative, there's some kind of curiosity about life and an ability to kind of zoom out a little bit and look at things, that you have to have a brain like that to write, and also to want to write, because if everything was fine and you never thought twice about what was going on in your life, then why would you make art?
Right.
It's an exploration of your of just your thoughts of being a human on this planet.
Yeah, no, and I'm really glad you said that, because sometimes as a creative person, I can feel alone, and I can attest for my friends for this too. It's like, oh, like, I'm super anxious, or I'm worrying about this. I have this concern about this, and then it's to the point where you're questioning everything, and that imposter syndrome. Like, you fought so hard to get here, and then you're questioning it. So it's like I'm glad you said that, because I feel like, obviously, I can't speak for every creative person on the planet, but it makes so much sense. We all kind of have the same brain in a way. We all think in a different logical way. We think a lot deeper, because, that's how we make our art, is we think about the things that not many people think about, strictly to make people aware of it, and through our music or something.
I could tell you as a musician and an artist, that yes, we are all like that.
Yeah, no, and it also ties into
in all genres of art.
It also ties into mental health too. Like, I'm not not saying every single creative person is mentally unstable in some ways, but I can attest for myself and my friends, and even my mom. She's not a musician, but I know she's a creative person, and we all kind of struggle with things mentally that can be major roadblocks for creativity and stuff like that. So
sure.
It's definitely something that musicians make aware to people. It's about talking about that. It's a good platform to talk about it too.
Absolutely, it's a good platform to talk about it, and it's also a wonderful kind of release from it. It's a way to digest some of the things that you're dealing with personally. And there's someone who's had sort of my mental health issues in my own life. I know that it's just been invaluable to me being able to express myself like that. And
just create your own little world that you can escape into, really.
Well, that and also put kind of attach something sort of physical and real to a feeling or a thought that
validates it. Right?
Yeah, validation, and also just being able to describe the indescribable,
Exactly, yeah. Because like you can't explain the human brain only to a certain extent. So it's like if you don't even know why you're feeling the way you're feeling, if you write a song about it, it could even help you understand it better, and it could help other people understand it. So it's definitely a great thing that, you know, creative people have an outlet for themselves, and not just, you know, let's say you have a day-to-day job and then it's like something outside of that. Like our job is our escape, which is a wonderful thing.
Oh yeah, I wake up grateful every day for the fact that we can do this, and just how lucky we are right now to be able to do it at all. I mean, it's just unbelievable, really.
Yeah.
We're in a bubble, you know, and I have to remind myself of that daily, you know, like that my mum and dad had in lockdown over in the UK, and, you know, and you know, rightly or wrongly, here in Florida, we can go out and play, and it's, and, you know, it's a blessing. You know, there's a whole debate on should we really be doing it or not, but you know, we're not going to get into that right now.
No.
But,
That's a rabbit hole.
so the last thing that wanted to ask you is there any equipment that you use that you can't do without, and could you tell us about it?
Yeah. So one of my biggest things I use, don't use it necessarily for band gigs because, you know, we have the full thing, but I use my looper a lot. Definitely helps with the solo gigs, and, you know, like I'm playing, I'm opening for some people, and sometimes I have to play by myself, just because budget or whatever, we can't afford to take the whole band or something like that. It just gives it more presence live. So I use the Boss Loop Station RC30. So that's it's just a simple 2-pedal box, and definitely can add a lot. I loop my my rhythm, my bass, and then I can do lead lines. I could loop vocals if I want. So that's definitely something I can't go without. But yeah, and then, you know, I have my delay pedal. Couldn't tell you what brand it is. I think it's like CMZ, if I'm correct. But I use compression. I have my tube screamer for my overdrive for soloing, and then I have my Crybaby wah, which is fun for the reggae feel and stuff like that.
Do you keep it all on a board? Do you have
so I have a really tiny board, so I keep all my smaller pedals and my looper on it, and my wah is like separate on the side.
Right. I have a love-hate relationship with compression. Sometimes I think I like it because it evens out the tone, and then other times I feel like it kind of seems like when you're really wanting to dig in, it kind of squishes the, you know.
I couldn't 100% tell you what I use it for. Like sometimes I use it for volume too. If I'm plugging direct in, my guitar will sound like crap without it, and it won't get the amount of volume I need without sounding really twangy or something. So I just use that, and I kind of crank it a little bit so it gives it more volume, and then I can keep it down on the board and stuff like that. I definitely want to up my pedal game, and I want to learn more about equipment because, you know, I have the bare minimum of what I could have and how cool I could make my guitar sound and stuff to experiment with. And I definitely want to get a bigger board and do more with pedals, because I think, you know, watching my guitarist Derek play with them, like, yo, that sounds so cool.
It's a lot of fun.
It's like toys, you know? Guitar Center is like Toys R Us. Someone just told that to me last night. They're like, it's like Toys R Us for musicians.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And the cool thing about pedals is that you can always just about afford one. It's like, you know, everyone's got, like, you know, I mean, whether or not you should spend it on or not is a debate, but, you know, there's always those, you know, $80-$90 you could be like, oh, you know, it's not like a guitar where it's, you know, hundreds and hundreds if not thousands of dollars, you know, and so that's why it's quite it's quite an expensive but a hobby that
over time, but still
I've got some friends who've just got ludicrous amounts of them. And if you I don't know if you know the guy, you may do, but if you ever need pedal advice, this guy Scott Gaylor, this local guy Scott Gaylor, he's like a wizard.
Does he when you built your box?
No, this guy he's one of the guys who sort of tries out pedals at NAMM Festival.
Oh, wow.
He's a local teacher, and he's like the local authority on pedals. So if you ever want to know anything about them, look him up on Instagram or Facebook and ask him questions.
What was his name one more time?
He's called Scott Gaylor.
Okay.
Yeah. He's a pedal master.
Yeah, I got to sample some for like the first time. I was out in San Diego, and there's a store called Pitbull Audio, and one of the guy that works there brought his whole board. And I was like, hey, whose pedals are those? He's like, they're mine. You can try them out if you want. And I just like opened up a whole wormhole of creative things that I wanted to do. And I'm like, I wish I had money with me so I could buy all of them. But
I don't know if I'm right about this, but I think I am. I think I've seen you use, because I was watching something online where you were playing. I think I've seen you use your looper basically like a delay. So you're kind of adding layers. It seemed like you were adding layers, like you were doing a solo, and it wasn't like the song was it wasn't like the band was playing with the loop. It's like you added a kind of like a melodic kind of thing, and then it seemed like you were playing over the top of that.
Yeah. So if I do use it with the band, I usually only use it for one song, and it's Jungle by Tosh Sultana. So, I'll loop the rhythm obviously, and then I will loop like guitar riffs and keep that going, and then do solos on top of it.
Yeah, okay. Cool.
And then sometimes I'll do even like vocal things, so I'll do harmonies for typically songs that have a chorus that just says the same thing once, and then so I'll just loop that at the beginning, and then when the chorus comes, press play on my vocals, so I have like harmonies with it.
Yeah,
it's super fun to play with. I definitely am interested in getting like the big board, just so I can have more channels and I don't have to press the tiny buttons in the middle of the song and stuff like that. So definitely trying to expand my range on looping and my pedals and stuff like that, just because it's another way for me to be creative without doing my typical sitting down with my acoustic and just trying to hash something out, because then once I have my looper, I can sit on that idea for a minute and it'll give me time to like
for sure I've used it like that as well. Absolutely. I've had a lot of fun with loopers in the past. The Killbillies. So the Killbillies answer to the looper, instead of that, I have a freeze pedal where it just it's a single note, just drones out a single note, and that's great for the Celtic stuff because there's so much, it almost sounds like a bagpipe or something like that, just like a drone that I play over, and the advantage of that is that there's no like rhythmic element. Yeah. So the band can speed up and slow down around it. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, that's really cool.
Yeah, but I've got that Boss pedal that you have, and I really enjoy messing around with it too.
Yeah.
So I guess the last thing that we have on our list is what's going on this weekend, Hector?
Well, I got to put on my eyeballs because I'm old and I can't see. But let's see, Sierra, you are playing Friday at Terra Firmata.
Yes.
Opening for Cass Haley. Saturday you're playing at Rosemary Square as a duo.
Yeah, so it'll be me and Corey there, and it's kind of, if you're familiar with Rosemary Square, it's like they just put in that big light up tree, so it's like in front of the light up tree in the middle of the courtyard. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And then Sunday you were saying that you had something as well? Yeah,
so I play Tin Roof just about every Sunday unless I have something else booked prior, but
awesome.
Yeah, so every Sunday 12 to 3. So that's like my consistent like residential spot there.
Okay. And then next week our guest is Bryce Allen. So if anybody that's listening wants to check him out this weekend before our next podcast, before he's a guest, Friday he's playing at Das Beer Garden. Saturday he's playing at Butcher Shop, and Sunday he is playing at Tide House.
Right.
And then of course you have to go see Killbillies this weekend. So. Killbillies are Friday at Mulligan's in Stewart, this Saturday at Patty Mac's, and Sunday Ben will be solo at Handlebars.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So
I think it's quite fun that we had you on this week and we're having Bryce on next week, because Bryce is kind of the, one of the sort of down here is definitely like a stalwart of the reggae rock scene.
Yeah.
One of the definitely the most notorious and biggest reggae rock local guy, and you're like the tip of the spear with it. You're like the new stuff that's coming through, the new blood. So
yeah, Bryce is great. If you're listening, definitely go check him out. we go way back actually. He was my aunt's first boyfriend. Freshman year.
Really? Oh, that's amazing.
It was so funny. Like when I met him for the first time and like seeing him around the scene, I'm like, that's so weird. Like, how it like connected like that.
Yeah, everything is crazy connected down here.
Small world.
Absolutely.
For sure.
It's like, for example, like I used to teach you and now I'm interviewing you, and one of your favorite bands is a band that we had signed to our label in England.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
It's like the music scene can get weird like that sometimes. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank
We
you
really
so much for
appreciate it.
having me. It was a lot
And
of
for
fun.
those listening, we will put all of your links, social media, website, all that
Yes.
stuff, Spotify, whatever else we can dig up,
Cool.
and we'll
Make
put
sure we
all
get the
that-
MySpace on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, the MySpace. We'll put
Don't
it
forget
all,
the Facebook Marketplace too.
Yes.
My profile is bumping right
We'll
now.
put it all. We'll put it all in the show notes. Put it all in the show notes, and then on the YouTube version, we'll put it down underneath in the description. So,
Perfect.
but yeah, we appreciate you coming by for our very first
No,
561
I'm
Music
honored.
podcast.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you. So, and the other thing I wanted to mention is, as Hector was saying at the beginning, we have a playlist, a Spotify playlist. It's called 561 Music. So if you just type that in, it will come up, and it's going to have everyone that is featured on the podcast, plus a whole host of other local musicians.
Yeah, and it's a little bit of everything. Like I said, I was listening to it earlier, and I mean, it's 1 minute I'm listening to reggae, and the next I'm listening to rap, and the next I'm listening to hard rock, and
awesome.
but it's amazing that we have that much diverse music here locally, and that much
Absolutely.
good diverse music. I
Well,
mean,
that's it. It's not just
it's not just junk. It's good
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
That's what's amazing is how many. When we set out to do this podcast and we talked about it, and we said, let's get all these local musicians on here. Like, yeah, it was a great idea, and it was more of a this is going to be really fun to get the local musicians. But like the deeper I dive into this, and the deeper I get into listening
no
to
pun
it,
intended.
No pun intended.
yeah, right. No, it was intended. I'm not that smart to intend that. But yeah, I feel like, and especially there's all these musicians that I know of, and that, like you were saying, I'm friends with like just about every musician in town in some capacity, in some social media capacity, but I don't necessarily know them, and I haven't necessarily listened to all of their stuff
Yeah.
either. So listening to this playlist now and putting kind of names together with the music and stuff, and then like oh that's that person, and then listening to it and realizing like, well, damn, that's actually really good.
Yeah, absolutely,
Like
yeah.
I guess there's this stigma of that local music is not good, but if you think about it, all national and international acts had to have started out local. So,
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
And also, it's just one of those things. It's just not true. The becoming a larger act is as much chance as it is anything else. So, the local music has easily as much chance of being just as good as any other kind of music.
it's
you know what I mean?
a lot of it's
And plus,
better.
we're just very blessed down here. I just honestly think we are. There's just a lot of great
Yeah.
music down here.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well,
All right,
thanks
well,
very much,
thank you
Sarah.
again.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Absolutely.
Cool. See you later.
Yeah, next time.